Hello and welcome to Macstaff Live. My name's Martin and I'm joined today by the MD of Macstaff, Anthony McCormack. Hello, Anthony.
Hi, Martin. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here today. And the purpose of today, folks, is if you've got a job interview coming up or you're thinking of a career change and you want some tips on how to go about that from the very start to the very finish, Anthony's going to give you plenty of those over the next 15, 20 minutes. And get you in a position where you're full of confidence and fully prepared to go into that job interview and hopefully have a successful outcome. Brilliant. Anthony, you're the MD of Macstaff. Do you want to tell us, first of all, a little bit about yourself and the business?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. Yeah, I'm the kind of founder and MD of my own specialist recruitment company, Macstaff. I guess I've had about 20 years recruitment industry experience, as a consultant, manager, and director of independent and PLC global recruitment companies. And yeah, I give interview advice like one-on-one to my candidates as I steer them through the process. And we just figured let's throw this open so that I can give interview advice to people who are doing interviews that I haven't in fact organised.
And it's a time that is very fluid, Anthony, isn't it, with the pandemic currently going on, and there's plenty of changes in the jobs market at the moment. Yeah,
it's been a really tough, jobs and employment market for many, lots of redundancies. So the need's certainly there for good interview advice, and essentially, people have to work hard to differentiate themselves. Sometimes there's a lot fewer jobs, a lot greater number of applicants going per job, and it's important to once you've got a fish on the line, basically, that's where you're at with an interview for a job. Then you don't want to let it get away, do you? You want to get it into the boat and land it. So hopefully these pointers will be valuable to people who are heading out for interviews soon.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's get going then. And for starters, I guess, starting at the very start, some ideas about why people are there in the first place. Why are you searching for a job interview?
Yeah, who am I and why am I here? Yeah, absolutely. So people don't quite often kind of prepare kind of right in terms of mindset for interviews. That it's when the rubber hits the road in your job search process, really, and people will spend a lot more time, titivating with their CV, writing their cover letter, browsing job postings and things like that, and not enough time preparing for an interview. It might be an oversimplification, I suppose, but you've got to be in it to win it. You want to be there to get the job, win a job offer, and further than that, the best job offer that you possibly can. And that means not going there with a point of view of let's find out what they've got to say. Let's see whether I really like the idea of the job, because that's a different thing. Quite often people will realise they do want the job halfway through the interview, and if they've approached it kind of lukewarm or been seen as a tire kicker, it's too late to kind of inject that enthusiasm into it. So you're there to win the job. If job offer, if you choose not to accept, then obviously all power to you. The ball's in your court at that point, but you've got to put yourself in that situation.
Okay, so the day of the interview comes around, and I guess we must just say at this stage, we're being very general today in terms of preparation for job interviews. We'll perhaps go on at a later stage to more niche stuff about maybe a webcam interview or a telephone interview, but today we're keeping it general, aren't we?
Yeah, there's some nuances with online interviews being increasingly prevalent, obviously, but yeah, let's assume a regular face-to-face interview. So first thing is to prepare, and people sometimes think, well, I can't really prepare that much, I don't know what they're going to say, but you can. All the clues are there. You've got two documents in play, really, the job specification and your CV. You're going to be there to demonstrate that you can solve their business problem by being able to fulfill the duties. The most important things to the company are no doubt at the top. So your preparation is going to be about two things, really, about confidence and enthusiasm. Confidence to instill them with confidence that you're the right person for the job, you can do the duties and responsibilities. Enthusiasm on the other side of things is the other kind of weapon you need to bring, because they need to win by knowing that you can do the job, but they need to know that you're going to win because it's the right job and industry and salary and location for you. And so everything that you say and do in the interview, and in other correspondence with the client and with the receptionist and whoever, has got to point to the fact that it's a win-win scenario. It's a good long-term match. It's not a marriage of convenience. It's something that's a genuine win-win. So yeah, confidence and enthusiasm. You'll be confident by knowing the job spec, how your CV applies, and be able to pre-plan in advance, I guess, and explain when you've used the skills and experience, or when you've shown the skills and experience that they're looking for, when you've done the duties and responsibilities before that they're after, and even one step further than that, what accomplishments have you shown in those areas that would differentiate you from somebody else who can realistically do the job.
Okay. And when you're actually sitting there being interviewed, it's the crux. Here we are. I mean, we've all been in a position where personally you're so nervous or wary of body language, or touching your face or eyes, or scratching your cheek or whatever. What's the preferred way? What are people looking for as interviewers from you as a person when you get into those situations?
Yeah, good point. So just touching on something from before, everything that you say and do, like while you're involved in the process, kind of is part of the interview, even if it isn't. So when you arrive on time, when you're well presented, your shoes are shined, you're polite to the receptionist, you're kind of interested, you kind of after you with the person as you walk into the interview room. It's art and science, I guess, interviews. So you want to be able to do the logical part of explaining why you're the best person for the job, but also the softer skills side of building that rapport with the person. They're going to want to work with you. They're quite often your future boss. So that chemistry is important, and you can without hamming it up too much, I guess, you can do some of the rapport building, mirroring the style of the interviewer, showing interest in the things that they're interested in that you might have researched out before. It's always beforehand. It's always a good idea to look at the person who's interviewing you on LinkedIn and what their previous background is, and what their hobbies and interests are, as well as what the company. Research on the company and the projects and the products that might be relevant as well. So yeah,
you're not just answering questions. You've got questions of your own.
Yeah, and questions is a good point as well, because there's always that part at the towards the end of the interview where they'll go, "Sir, any questions?" And you've missed a trick really if you go, "No, thanks, you seem to have answered them all," which is normally how it goes, to be fair. So prepare a whole bunch of questions in advance, like good, thoughtful, inquisitive questions, that will in turn then help differentiate you from other people that they've perhaps met for the job. Questions which, as you all know, Martin, I guess we're both interviewers really, aren't we? Questions which are open questions, promote a broader response, are better than yes/no questions. And I'd avoid, for example, questions that are clearly smarter pants questions as well, like can you give me a bit of a summary of the financial situation of the not, or where do you see the company in 5 years, and things like that, because it's blatantly a power grab and trying to turn the tables on the interviewer, which they're not normally going to appreciate.
Okay, that's an interesting point as well, Anthony. Is it a fine line between being confident, the confidence you need to come across well, and being cocky? How fine is that line?
Yeah, so yeah, you'll want to walk the line exactly of being confident without being overconfident or cocky, and that means that in the way that you've prepared, that you haven't, I guess, been blasé about it, and then also that you're not trying to take over, because it's really a point scoring exercise, an interview. So you've got to let the interviewer set the pace and tone, and ideally give concise answers so that they can get through everything that they wanted to ask. Because if you've gone on and they've only got to been able to answer or ask half the questions, then you can only get half the points, really, can't you?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so it's gone well, everything's gone well, the interview is about to wrap up. What tips, what hints have you got for the way to finish that interview, or any specific questions? I know we just touched on questions, but as in exit questions that might put you at the top of the list when people are looking at whether to get you back for a second interview or indeed to offer you the job.
Yeah, so again, and there's kind of much more we could say on this as well. It's another one for another session, but there's some really good questions that, depending on your sense for the situation, that you could ask. One of them being, have you got any concerns over my candidacy for the job?
Okay.
It's an interesting question, because if they have got concerns, you better be ready to answer them and address them. But quite often, if handled correctly, you can overcome the objections, on the way to the sale, so to speak, which is obviously you kind of securing the job in this context. I'd also recommend that if it feels right, to ask for the job as well.
Okay.
There's an old adage, isn't there? You don't ask, you don't get. You can say, I really enjoyed meeting you today. On the basis of what you've told me about the job and the challenges, then it's something I'm really interested in and I think I'm a good fit for. So if offered, I'll definitely accept. What happens next.
Yeah, very interesting, isn't it?
That removes all doubt as well, because it's kind of psychology really, and that company is way more likely to offer somebody the job if they think they're going to accept. So if you let them know that you're in a position to make that decision, then that's a roadblock out the way from that point of view. It's always interesting to know as well, from your own job search point of view and weighing your options, like what the next stages are. That's always a good neutral question. What happens next? How long it is before I'll hear back? Are there other stages in the process? I wouldn't go too nosy into how many other people are you seeing, things like that. But yeah, to leave with a clear plan of action. Ideally, resulting in an offer would be great.
If you get that nod that they'll get back to you within 2 days and 3 days go by, how long should you wait before you give them a nudge?
Well, and that's
because it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's a good reason for asking the question in the interview, because then you've got something to, hold the company accountable to. So if they say in 2 days and it gets to 3 days, yeah, sure, just drop them a friendly reminder.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, Anthony. You've written a book on the subject, haven't you? Job Search, Job Done, which is available on Amazon. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to write that book and what's involved in it.
Yeah, so here we go. I normally have a copy kind of nearby. Like you said at the beginning, I've got 20 years in the recruitment industry. I've literally helped kind of thousands of people in their kind of job search, and interview and selection processes. And there's a lot of kind of, well, I suppose there's some good advice, but some bad and ugly advice out there as well. And I wanted to put on the basis of my experience, just some really good, solid practical advice into, job search related subjects all in one place. So it's your one-stop shop kind of success manual. Normally can't get that out. And so put it all together in one place. And yeah, it's come with excellent feedback.
And it is available on Amazon on various countries, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's as you say, it's a step-by-step process. There's 12 chapters, going all the way from preparing to know your job search through to kind of your career in the bigger picture. We've gone straight in with like a big ticket item, obviously with the interview prep one, but I think it's just as important that people are, doing their kind of career planning and being in the right job search rather than just doing the right things in their job search, if that makes sense. So if people have got particular topics that they'd like covering in the future, or particular questions that they'd like addressing after this session, then obviously just drop us a message in the chat or reach out to me where you see this video.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ant. That's been very enlightening, and some fantastic hints and tips in there for people to take in and hopefully be able to use on your own job searches. For further information about Anthony and Macstaff, you can log on to www.macstaff.co.uk. The company are also on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, where there's formal information there. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll be the first to know of any upcoming broadcasts we've got over the next few weeks and months, which will also be offering tips on various parts of the job industry and recruitment business. And finally, we'd love to know what you think of the video, so please drop us a comment underneath. And if you've got any of your own stories about the most difficult question you've been asked at a job interview, or if you've got any further questions you'd like Anthony to tackle and answer, please drop them in the comments box below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, it just leaves me to thank you, Anthony, very much for your time this afternoon and all your valuable hints and tips. So thanks. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks. My pleasure. Good to speak to you, Martin, and to everybody listening. Good luck out there. Stay positive and be proactive, and I'm sure that you'll come out with the right result.
Great stuff. And thank you very much for listening, whether you've been with us live or watching this broadcast on catch up. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you again soon here on Macstaff Live.
Righto.